During my time in China, making friends has always been a bit of an issue since I've been living here. And I've always wondered why, because a lot of the time, Chinese people will tell you when you live in China, oh, you must have a lot of friends. Oh, it must be very easy for you to make friends here. But that never seemed to be the case. And I always wondered why did they say that, but then at the same time, they themselves made no effort to try to be my friend. So after 5 years of living here, I can say that how Chinese people make friends is much different from how people in the West generally make friends. And so in this video, I want to talk a little bit about this whole premise. So Chinese people don't usually make new friends, to be honest. And I would put friends in two categories in China. So the first category are friends that are made circumstantially in life. So these could be friends that Chinese people have had since they were in school, since they were very young, friends they met in high school, friends they met in university. And they've met these friends simply because they were put in the same circumstances in order to meet these friends and to be around these friends for long enough for them to get together and know each other better. Okay, so circumstantially, they were put together and became friends. And the other kind of friend that exists for Chinese people are friends that can bring them some benefit. Okay, I don't want to be so explicit about this, but it just seems to be the case that Chinese people know how to make friends with people that would ultimately bring them benefit, because it goes into this larger game of Nianzi and Guanxi. Who you know is what you can achieve or accomplish in China. So as you can see, this differs a lot from how we make friends in the West, usually, which has to do with some commonality or some interest, some shared interest between two people. Sometimes it could even be a commonality in personality, right? Sometimes we notice that somebody has a very similar personality to us, even though we've just met them, but we feel like we could instantly hit it off with that person and become quick friends. But in China, the idea of making friends for people that are outside of these circumstantially met friends, the friends that have been made throughout long periods of time, these kinds of friends are meant through a point of mutual benefit. Okay, friendship is being able to do favors for another person or possess some kind of value to another person in the Chinese context. So friendship in China has more to do with exchange than it does having to do with simply liking a person because of their personality, or liking a person because you can understand where they come from and you can see similarities between yourself and that other person. Okay, so like I've been hinting at this whole time, the idea of friendship really has two spectrums, which is the time you've known someone versus the immediate respect that you can give someone. And usually that respect can overcome the amount of time that you've known that person, which is often the case in Western cultures for people to make friends quickly, right? You make a friend quickly because you realize that you respect that person for who they are and how they've developed themselves. But in China, time is the biggest factor. Okay, and with time, it's not something that could be overcome. It's not something that can be done quickly. Time in relationships is based on shared experience. And for you to share that time together with the Chinese person, that will create an experience and a shared relationship that builds over time. So that is why in modern day China, the people that are in school or co-workers usually now become their closest friends because they spend a lot of time together. is all I can say. If you spend a lot of time around that person, with that person, usually due to some circumstantial factors, then you will build a closer relationship. So the concept of making new friends for most Chinese people, for most of the population, does not really exist. This idea of making new friends, I feel, is much more of a Western concept, because we believe that friendships can be made just by sharing an interest with another person. But in China, it's either you spend a lot of time with that person or you provide some value or benefit to that person. And this could be very confusing for a foreigner who has just arrived in China. So usually the Chinese people who want to be friends with foreigners are driven by curiosity. Okay, they're driven simply by knowing you because you are so different from everything and everyone. Sometimes it could seem like they want to know you so they could introduce you to other people or bring you to places or help you do something for them. And this very much could be the case, and they will try to coax you, they will try to be very nice to you, they will try to buy you things, but it never really feels like you built an actual friendship. So if this is the case, it's definitely possible that they want to be your friend in the circumstance that you will provide some value to them. And with a mutual exchange, they can also offer value to you by doing all of these things. So it's not like it's always one-sided in these cases. Friendship in China is largely based on being able to mutually exchange on both sides. So if one person does one thing for another person, the other person is expected to reciprocate in some form or in some way. So after some time, it's very true that they can care about you, but at the same time, they could not truly know who you are. And I feel like this is very different from Western style of making friends. Usually you know who that person is in other circumstances, but in China you could just know that person in the context of a friendship, but not really know who that person is on the inside. And that has more to do with language and being open to sharing your own ideas. At the same time, you can be friends with a person and then never see them again. China is so large, and if something happens, if a fight happens, or if you lose communication, you could easily never see that person again. And that's just another fact about making friends in China. So all in all, making friends in China is somewhat of a difficult topic, and it has a lot to do with this idea of mutual exchange more than mutual attraction or interest. So it's really something to be considered, especially if you live here for long enough. So if you enjoyed this commentary about how to make friends, if you enjoyed these tidbits I'm sharing with you about my life in China, then please subscribe to the channel and like this video. It would really help me a lot. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much.